The future is bankrupt. Japan was supposed to be the preview of tomorrow. Bullet trains, robots, spotless cities, and a society so advanced it had outrun the rest of the world. But behind that image sits a brutal business problem. The country is running out of customers, workers, children, and time. For a 30-year-old in Tokyo, having a baby can feel less like a milestone and more like a financial detonation. One wrong decision can crush a career, drain income, and lock a family into permanent insecurity. That is the trap. The shocking part is not that Japan reached this point. The shocking part is that many rich countries are following the same spreadsheet. If Japan is the first domino, what happens when the same bill lands everywhere else? Every modern welfare state runs on a quiet bargain. Working adults pay taxes, support pensions, fund healthcare, and keep public services alive. Later, when they retire, the next generation does the same for them. The model works only while workers outnumber retirees by enough to carry the load. Japan is moving toward a terrifying ratio, one taxpayer supporting one retired citizen. That is the math. Japan has the oldest population on Earth. Nearly 30% of its people are 65 or older. Around 99,000 citizens have reached 100 years of age. By 2036, the elderly are expected to make up 1/3 of the country. Longer lives should be a triumph. Instead, combined with fewer births, they have become a fiscal pressure machine that tightens every year. And the pressure does not stay on a government spreadsheet. It lands on workers. Economists measure this through the national burden rate, which combines taxes with social security contributions. Japan's burden was about 25% of national income. By the late 1990s, it had climbed to roughly 36%. Today, it sits near 46%. Picture a worker pulling a 10-hour shift in Tokyo. At that burden level, it can feel as if almost half the day is gone before rent, food, transport, and energy bills enter the picture. The money funds pensions, healthcare, defense, schools, and public systems. But the personal experience is harsher. The young produce the wealth, then watch it flow upward into an aging safety net. It keeps growing. That budget no longer behaves like a growth engine. It resembles a national vacuum, pulling income from younger workers to maintain promises made in a different demographic era. So why is there no mass revolt from the young? Because the system does not just tax them, it traps them before they can build families. For years, outsiders blamed Japan's low birth rate on culture. Young people were supposedly too isolated, too online, too attached to games, anime, and digital fantasies. Men were labeled herbivore types, as if an entire generation had simply lost interest in intimacy. But the data breaks that story apart. Surveys show 80% of single Japanese people want to marry. They are not refusing love. Many are searching desperately on dating apps, hoping to find a partner and build a normal life. The desire did not vanish. It was priced out. The real barrier is the marriage trap, created after the economic bubble burst in the 1990s. Before then, stocks soared, property looked safe, and stable lifetime jobs gave families confidence. Then growth stalled, markets fell, and companies protected profits by changing work itself. Permanent jobs became harder to secure. Temporary, contract, and part-time roles spread. A new precariat formed, earning less and receiving fewer benefits. In Japan, an unwritten expectation says men should earn around 3 million yen, about $20,000 a year. Yet up to 60% of single men in their early 20s earn below that line. Marriage became a gate with an income lock, and even couples who pass that gate hit another wall. The moment a woman has a child, her career can be pushed into a grinder. Female labor participation in Japan often forms an inverted U-shape. It rises in early adulthood, then drops sharply during child-rearing years, often in the early 30s. Returning to the same career track can be brutally difficult. The penalty lasts decades. Statistics suggest up to half of women in their 30s and 40s are classified as non-regular workers. That means part-time, contract, or temporary roles with weak security. Many still do important corporate work, but receive lower pay, fewer benefits, limited bonuses, and weaker retirement contributions. They can also be released with little warning. Parenthood turns into a professional risk event. Underneath this sits an older corporate culture. Men are expected to work long hours and climb the ladder. Women are expected to handle the home. Ambitious mothers disturb that model, so the workplace often punishes them. There's even a term for it, matahara, or maternity harassment. Pregnant women can be sidelined, demoted, excluded from projects, intimidated, or pushed to resign. The message is savage. Choose the paycheck or choose the baby. Millions choose financial survival. That decision is logical. It is also catastrophic for a country that needs children, workers, and future consumers. A society cannot cut the economic legs from under young families, then act confused when births collapse. Now the damage is visible and concrete. Japan's population crisis is not just a chart. It is written into empty houses. In 2024, data showed roughly 9 million abandoned homes, known as akiya. That equals 14% of the country's residential housing stock. It is enough empty housing for every person in New York City. Real estate is supposed to store wealth and pass opportunity to children. In shrinking regions, it becomes a burden. Inherited homes can become financial traps. Demolition is often expensive because of strict property rules. Vacant properties still attract taxes. Some heirs avoid claiming houses because the asset costs money and brings little value. Entire neighborhoods turn into dead zones, filled with decaying structures no one wants to buy, repair, tax, or demolish. Then the labor shortage hit the roads. Japan became known for extreme overwork, from office workers sleeping at stations to truck drivers and construction workers pushing through punishing hours. The darkest word for it is karoshi, sudden death linked to work. The government eventually capped legal overtime in sectors such as logistics and construction. Ethically, it made sense. Operationally, it exposed the truth. Those brutal hours had been holding the system together. Once truck drivers worked more humane schedules, delivery capacity cracked. By 2024, Japan faced a 14% shortfall in delivery capacity. By 2030, that shortfall is projected to reach 34%. This creates a social shortage. People may have money, and stores may have goods, but there are not enough workers to move products from warehouses to customers. Many developed economies answer labor gaps with immigration. Japan resisted for years, remaining highly homogeneous, with foreign workers only a small fraction of the population. Eventually, it began opening the door wider. It also turned to the solution everyone expected from a supposedly futuristic country: robots. That answer is incomplete. Robots can sort packages, scan groceries, assist in hospitals, and help elderly patients move in and out of bed. Automation can reduce supply stress. It can make factories and warehouses more efficient. But a machine does not rent an apartment, buy a family car, order dinner, pay gym fees, or fill a shopping district on Friday night. Production can be automated. Demand cannot. Capitalism needs buyers as much as it needs output. When a country fails its young, it loses more than labor. It loses future households. It loses children who become customers. It loses the next generation of demand. Japan's danger is not only supply collapse. It is demand collapse. The government has tried to respond. Billions of dollars have reportedly gone toward dating apps, corporate matchmaking, and family stipends. But temporary incentives cannot solve a permanent cost structure. Young adults can see the whole equation. A one-time payment does not offset unstable jobs, punitive workplaces, heavy taxes, and unaffordable family risk. The money problem is generational. Japanese households hold more than 2.2 quadrillion yen in financial assets, worth over $14 trillion. A huge share sits with people aged 65 and above. Many benefited from the post-war boom, built property wealth, and accumulated savings. Now large amounts sit in safes or low-interest accounts, instead of flowing into startups, young families, housing demand, or new business formation. The economy is full of money that does not move. Younger people are reacting. Many put savings into global index funds, foreign equity markets, and U.S. technology stocks instead of domestic assets. Individually, that makes sense. Why invest your future in a shrinking market if you can chase growth abroad? Collectively, it drains confidence from the local economy. Old money stays still. Young money leaves. That is how a rich country starts starving its own future. Japan was treated as an exception for decades. It was not. It was an early warning system. Birth rates in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and many wealthy countries sit below the replacement level of 2.1 children per person. Immigration has delayed the reckoning by adding workers, taxpayers, and consumers. But it is a patch, not a cure. The patch is thinning. As developing economies industrialize, their birth rates also fall. The global supply of young workers will shrink, and competition for talent will intensify. Then the same shortages, inflation pressures, and demand problems can spread far beyond Tokyo. The lesson is brutal for any economy, company, or founder. If you sacrifice the next generation to protect the last one, you do not preserve stability. You liquidate the future. A country can survive old age. It cannot survive making youth unaffordable. When the future becomes too expensive to live in, the future stops arriving.